Yo, good afternoon. What's up, my people? What's up, world? It is Sunday, March 23rd, and I want to thank my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ because with him all things is possible. There's no Ducks on episode sponsored by Vision Sports Management. Shout out to my boy John Boy Belton. Follow him on Instagram and Facebook, and shout out to Match Bout. You can follow them on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. Shout out to my man Shannon Brown, man. Shout out to both of the sponsors, man. Uh, Good afternoon to everybody on this Sunday, man. Even though it's Sunday, I want to say safe travels to anybody who's moving around on this Sunday because we still have things that we do on Saturdays to Sundays. So safe travels to wherever it is that you gotta go, and remembering with Him all things is possible. All right, happy Sunday, y'all. Usually on Sundays I'm not up here. Of course, a lot of y'all know that already, but we've been having some interesting things go on in boxing, as always, that we need to talk about. So we're gonna get ready to get into some of that and some other things. I've been doing my word of the days and my morning chop ups, which I won't be doing tomorrow morning. That's another reason why I'm doing today. So tomorrow we will be honoring and remembering George Foreman. We'll be doing that at 4:15 Eastern time. So make sure y'all around to see that. Right. So let's get into this boxing. All right. So for my newcomers, my regulars, everyone, welcome to the No Duck Zone podcast. Let's go. Make sure you guys like, share, and subscribe. Okay, let me make sure I got that. Like, share, subscribe, tell a friend, and tell a friend. This is where it goes down at No Duck Zone podcast. I want to say big shout outs to all my amateurs that went out this past week, Friday and Saturday. Shouts to the winners and the losers, man. It's Ringmasters Road to the Garden, man. April 10th, we will be in the theater in Madison Square Garden, man. Make sure you guys pull up. If you just in New York, you just happen to be in New York, well, the hottest ticket, it's probably be a lot of different things going on in New York on April 10th. I'm not going to lie to you, even though it is a Thursday. The hottest ticket in town will be Ringmasters. Seeing some of the top amateurs in the city showcase their talent. So you guys make sure you pull up for that. And shouts to all of everybody in the New Jersey Golden Gloves is doing their thing out there, and every other Golden Gloves, every other club show, everybody out there that's just consistently putting in that work in the gym and still having to manage with their normal life. So shouts to y'all. Tay Tay, I see you. What up? Shouts to all y'all. I put a couple flyers up or some events coming up. Um, Pay attention to. So Bad Girls Promotion um, have something going on May 17th, Baltimore, Maryland. I think that show might be booked already. It might be a booked show already because it doesn't say to hit anybody up. Um, I guess if you want to be in the show, it looked like it's booked already. But come on out. Even though that's Maryland, it's not a guaranteed I'll be there, but I'm going to try my best to be a part of that show. I told y'all this is the year what I want in. I want in on everything. So I'm going to try my best to be a part of that. Much as much as I can. Yeah, stand up. That's right, New York. We in here. It's a fact. All that. We in there. So I'm gonna definitely a lot of these shows that you see me post, not a lot of them, but some of them, because a lot of them are out of my range. If it's on the West Coast, it's a lot of them that I can't get to. But as far as the East Coast, Connecticut, PA, Jersey, Maryland, you know what I'm saying, DC. If it's possible for me to make it, I will. At the end of the day, this is my year. Oh, thanks. We trying to work on these. I ain't gonna lie to you, man. Before I get into this boxing, we're trying our hardest to work on these merch. As far as the hoodies, the No Duck Zone hoodies, was something that I wanted to start 2025 off with, but it's been a slow process. And then I realized that hoodies don't have to be made in the winter, so you could pass them out. Hoodies could be made in the summer. You could pass them out in the summer, so people will be okay in the winter. What I noticed is that even though people use hoodies thinking that I'm gonna need it for when you go outside, but you can easily you can be on the train and it could be cold. You know, anyway, you could be in the venue, Madison Square Garden, Barclays. You could be in Vegas. If you ever notice when you go inside these venues, it's um it's cold, so you might have to use your sweater. Yeah. I'm trying to have it where um I can have it. No, you ain't got to wait till the winter. Absolutely not. Um, so just for people who want to know that, Joe, but I'm still taking of course y'all know I'm still taking cash apps for the sweaters. T-shirts are still available. So anybody with a sweater, T-shirt, coffee mug, y'all know what to do. So this is just some of the stuff I'm just bringing to you guys' attention because we're working on a lot. D Hall, what's up, my brother D Hall and the People Show? Y'all make sure y'all go subscribe to my brother D Hall and the People Show. Shout out to my good guy Jay York. So yeah, anything you guys need, just remember to hit me. So we have a lot of stuff coming up, man. We had a lot of fights this past week. Uh, I don't know what to tell y'all, man. Doesn't matter. Can we see it though? But the shirts, I already had posted the shirts. I had posted the shirts a while ago, and I ran out, so now I have to get more shirts. But I posted the shirts. Underrated got his shirt. His wife got her shirt. Jeff Spark got his shirt. Nobody else made. Everybody else had got what they got. So this is the reason why when I tell y'all if y'all want some. Matter of fact, I posted up on one of my pages. Tay Tay, if you go to one of my I think it was one of my storylines. I put it up on Instagram. Yeah. You did miss it because I had it out around when I had the coffee mugs. Which the coffee mug, that's okay. The coffee mugs is coming back. So that's the reason why when I tell people when they're gonna make an order and people think that I have it already, but it's still, sometimes you still have to make an order for me to get it. For every order, you know what I mean? I have to take that and pay the people that I'm paying them to make it. So that's why I'm telling everybody, if they want it, for the gathering for this year, we're trying to have everybody have a shirt, a No Duck Zone shirt. We want everybody to have one. Just it makes sense. Kano Loco, what's up, my brother? Make sure y'all go subscribe to Kano Loco TV. Go subscribe to him. Y'all go check my sister Tay Tay out and everybody else is out there making moves. That's what I'm gonna have to do. I'm gonna have to pay. Yeah. Yeah, that's what people have to do. And let's before I get to the boxing, this is what we try to make people to understand too, that your brand is a business. At least that's what it's supposed to be. And a lot of people don't treat it like that. So you got people who they'll have merch, but they just might have it for themselves. You got people who don't know how to go. When I get a chance, I will pay them. Yo, that's okay, Tay. I'm here. I'm here, Tay. I ain't going nowhere. You can holler at me whenever you're ready. I know everybody has responsibilities. Everybody got bills to pay. People got people that they're responsible for. So, I'm here. Some people don't know how to go about selling merch. And then you got people who they're waiting on YouTube to monetize them. That way they can do it. I mean, that's cool and all, but I'm not waiting for nobody to tell me it's okay for me to have merch. I'm not waiting for YouTube to monetize me. There's nothing wrong with being monetized. I'm just not waiting on them because there's no guarantee um, you are gonna get monetized and you don't know how long it takes. So while you're doing all that, you could be making you some money if your merch is worth buying. A lot of people are just putting crap out there and want people to buy it. Your merch got to be worth it. If it's not worth it, there's no point in you trying to put it out there. That's why we show you the coffee mugs, the t-shirts, the hoodies. Eventually, the hoodies and the varsity jackets is something that we're working on, but the hoodies is something that we're gonna start with first, and the varsity jackets eventually will come. They'll come a little later. Okay. He said my merch is fire, but it don't sell. I wonder why is that, Kano? I don't know. But you got to keep going, Kano. You got to keep going. That's all. You know what I got to, Kano? I got to a point where people buy what they want to buy. People support what they want to support. People like who they like. You know what I'm saying? People won't buy your shit, but then when you turn the corner and you look, they over here buying this other person stuff. You know what I'm saying? It'd be like, and sometimes they only buy it not because the way the merch look. They'll buy it because they fooled the person. Yeah, 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 yeah. Nah, it's not about sweating it. I don't sweat it either. But sometimes the what could bother you is how people do the shaking and baking. You know what I'm saying? That's what I can't take. I don't sweat it because if you get my merch, you get it. That's cool. But if not, don't expect me. Like my thing is this: we live in a world where it's like if you don't support me, I'm not supporting you. So don't ask me to get nothing that you got or support anything you got going on if you ain't supporting me. That's how the world works. I got merch too. I just don't. Oh, well, Tay, why didn't you say something, Tay? You should have told me you had merch, Tay. You should have told me that, Tay. Damn it. We all got to support each other. And if the people that's if people are not going to support us, we have to make sure we support each other. That's what's important. We're not going to wait for other people to support us. Let's make sure we support each other because at the end of the day, we are all we got. So keep that in mind. So, like I was saying about the boxing, um, look, man, people are not happy about what they saw yesterday, man. People are not happy about what they saw yesterday with this pro box and the judges. A lot of people are not happy. I come here because I love you guys. Hey, it's the same thing, Tay. Always, always, Tay. Always. And that's how we have to keep it. Because there's too much shaking and faking in this game. In this social media game, in this content creator, it's a lot of fool trick ass people in this game, bro. It's crazy. That's why I moved the way I move. I'm not looking for no best friends in here because my wife is my best friend. But you looking for people to keep it real with you, man, and they just don't know the definition of that. It's like every man for themselves, but that's cool though. Yeah, but people weren't happy about what they saw with Pro Box and the referees. You mean PBC, not Pro Box? Somebody said Pro Box. Was it PBC? Somebody else said something about Pro Box to me. They didn't like how old girl got the win yesterday, and they didn't feel like she won. When it was the older girl against the younger girl. They had an issue with that, and I'm like, well, And Paulie was mad because he felt like he was also like, yeah, when you go out of town, he was making this like Paulie was putting it like, when you go out of town, this is what happens. We should keep it in Florida. Like he didn't say it like that, but he didn't use Florida. But yeah, he kind of like I kind of felt like that's the energy that he had. Like, see, we should just stay where we at. We go on the road, and this is what happens. I didn't see that one, Kano, because I kind of turned it on late. I didn't realize that the card came on that early, and I wasn't expecting it to go off that early. I'm used to PBC cards start 9, 10 o'clock. You know, so yeah, there too. You right, and Paulie right on this one. Yeah, yeah, because I was baffled. I watched that young girl. I don't know who the other, but I ain't gonna say I know who either one of them were. I seen the other girl just on social media the other day. Just yesterday, I looked her up and I didn't even know who she was. So, but I felt like that younger girl put in some pain. She put in some pain, and she put up a good fight for her to be 20 years old. But I say all that to say is that it's never going to be anything that happens when it comes to these judges or these scorecards where we look and we go, what the fuck? I mean, it is what it is. I went over my you 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 busy right now, Kano? You want to come up or you straight? He said I'm done over my typing limit. I know what you mean, Kano. I'm the same way. After a while, I'll be like, enough typing. Yeah, but it's nothing that it can go on that we can just be like, you know what? What can we do? What are we really gonna do about these judges? What are we gonna do about these referees that stop fights? What are we gonna do? I don't know exactly what it is that we gonna do. It is what it is, man. Should it be something accepted that they do? It shouldn't be, but what are we really gonna do? There was a fight that got stopped that people felt like it got stopped too early yesterday. And even for a second, I said, damn, that might have been a little too fast. But safety comes first, which we have to remember. Um, I got to see the fight with Ramos, whatever the hell his name is. Can't pronounce it. I got to see that, and then after that, I got to see the Fundora fight. Even when it came to the pro box, I don't even think I watched the whole card. I think I probably saw about 3 fights, maybe just before I said, okay, which the whole time I'm watching this pro box, the PBC card is already on. So I was kind of mad about that, but I'm gonna go over and watch everything on my stream on my YouTube today. So but nothing ever surprises me when these type of calls happen. For anything, it pisses me off. I'm not gonna lie to you. That's what it does to me. It pisses me off. And it's like, when are we gonna get to a point where we start correcting this? Because it seems like it's never gonna get corrected. It seems like it's just something that's just going to go on constantly, 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 constantly. And what is it that we can do about it that will fix it? Oh man, you should hire these retired fighters to do the job, but then that probably won't be no better because a lot of them will probably go over favoritism or who they like better. They will probably do a great job. Some of them might be. Some of them mental ain't really there, so we can't think because they're retired fighters that all of them would do a great job because some of their mental is not really there, and a lot of them are gonna go off who they like. So how safe is it to? How safe would it be to bring them in? I would love to see them with a job. I would love to see it. So we don't know, but just seeing what happened yesterday and what people were talking about, and I would have to go back to watch some of this, but I really don't have to watch it to see why the referees or the judges make the decisions that they make, because this is something that we see constantly all the time where we just go, it's the same shit every time we turn around. It never gets any different. It's the same old, same old. And Paulie said something where it's like it kind of makes. I think he said something about it. He dislikes the sport more and more every day, and none of us should ever feel like fighter, whoever we are, fans, that we dislike the sport more and more every day, because that's a problem. But it's also hard for you to sit there and say, you know, I'm a boxing fan, and I just want to see the best fights. I want to see, the judges get fair scorecards. I want to see these referees let these guys fight. Boxing to me is just one big circus. Um, you're not going to know what you're going to see or what you're going to get when you get in there. I mean, when you're watching, not when you get in there, because you're not getting in there. But once you turn that TV on and you're sitting there and you're saying to yourself, I hope this fight will be the fight of the year. I hope the referee allows him to fight. I hope that the judges are fair with the scorecards. And a lot of times, if any of y'all are depending on that, well, in case nobody told you, let me be the one to tell you. Don't do it, because you're only hyping yourself up and you're only disappointing yourself. I've been saying this from the beginning. When it comes to this boxing, you have to unexpect the unexpected. You guys go in here with your feelings, and something don't go your way, you're ready to have a temper tantrum. Of course, I don't personally agree with a lot of stuff that don't go on. Some of the scorecards, some things that fighters get away with in the ring, referees breaking up fights too much and not letting guys get ahead and get it in, because this is what we paid to see. And this is why I went back to a couple weeks ago, when there was some idiots in there I had to get rid of. And I'm like, if you don't like what you see that's going on in boxing, then maybe you should step back. Step back. Because to come up and complain all the time is not going to change the outcome of what's going on. Because the only people that can fix what's going on in boxing is the people who's actually in boxings, commissions, people who sit high up in the offices. Only ones that can fix it. But if you choose to support something, but you think that because you because you're complaining, that's fixing it. That's not fixing it. You're just complaining, and it's not going to get you anywhere. So what do you do? What do we do as all of us are not fans? So I'm not going to call all y'all that. Some of y'all are just groupies to your favorite fighters. But for all of us that's really that we really do this boxing and we love it, what do we do? What do we do? Because I don't see how complaining fixes anything. And what they're doing, they're going to get dealt with. How these judges judge, how these referees ref, going to get dealt. It's only so long that you can continue with this behavior before it comes to an end. And not just suspensions. It should be fines. The same treatment you give a fighter is the same thing they should get. At some point, um, all this craziness that's going on has to be addressed, because we focus more on what the outcome of, not what the fight's going to be, but we always focus more on what the outcome is going to be as far as the judging. Oh God, this guy is refereeing the fight. Oh God, she's refereeing the fight. I don't really like this ref for two reasons. They stop fights too fast and they don't let the guys fight. I don't like this judge because his scorecards are always biased. We focus more on that and it kind of takes away from the participants. Now, when the participants fight, it's enough to worry about them. Well, this guy headbutts. He's a dirty fighter. It's so much that you worry about, and it just takes away. And as fans, as people who are really diehard fans, because a lot of y'all are not diehard fans. I don't care what you say or how much you try to convince me, how many years you've been watching boxing. I can care less. Some of you are just groupies. You jumping on the bandwagon. You're looking for something to be a part of. It's almost like joining a gang. You know nothing about the game, but you want to be a part of it. Cool. Do what works for you. But some of us, I'm gonna tell you like this: I can never not be in love with the sport of boxing, no matter how much of the craziness go on, because I know what I can support and what I don't support. I know what I'll watch, and that's why I know Doug Zone's bigger than boxing, because I'm like, if I just surrounded with just that, I'd probably go crazy because some of the things I see drives me nuts. That's why I have morning chop ups and I try to talk about other things to try to not have what's going on drive me crazy. Because it is enough to drive you crazy when you're paying for apps and pay-per-views, when you're coming out your pockets. It's enough to make you just say, you know what, I'm leaving and I'm not entertaining boxing anymore, and I don't even want to talk about it. I don't want to deal with it. Underrated, what up? It's enough. It's enough to make a man go crazy. But at the same time, what can we do? What can we do? A lot of y'all are not going to boycott boxing. Why would I do that? How do you tell, like the person I had a couple weeks ago, how are you going to tell about the junkies? First of all, y'all not junkies. You're not junkies, and a lot of y'all ain't diehard fans. Y'all just looking for something to hold on to. Because you know a boxer's first name and his last name, you know his record, and you know where he's from. Y'all think that that makes y'all a boxing fan. The Boxing Source, what's up, my brother? Y'all make sure y'all go subscribe to the Boxing Source. Just because you know a fighter's first name, last name, his record, and where he's from, and he knocks people out all the time, or he stops people, that makes y'all think that makes y'all think y'all know boxing. Because if he couldn't produce a knockout, if he wasn't a guy that stopped people, you wouldn't give a damn what his name was or where he was from. You will call him boring. It's like I told y'all, sometimes it's not boxing, it's the problem. It's you people. It's you people. Yeah, it makes me totally sick to see what these referees, how these referees are sometimes, how these judges are. But hey, what can we do? BBO, what up? What up? What up? What up, BBO? Everybody, please go subscribe to my brother BBO Boxing, man. Make sure y'all go over there and smash that like button when you over there, man. Please, for everybody who has a channel, Carnal Loco to Underrated Darkness, everybody who got a channel, man, please go check them out. So y'all have how can I say it? I don't want to say the wrong word without messing it up because I like to not pronounce words the wrong way. You guys get too overexcited. You have your hopes up. Sometime when I'm watching this boxing, I know already there's a disappointed. There's a disappointment waiting. And the disappointment can come three ways, right? It could always be in how the fighter performs, even though everybody can't perform the same way. The fighter, how the fighter might perform, how the referee might referee, and how the judge the scorecards. Miss Fields, good afternoon, Queen. So those are the three things that I know that out of all three of those, One of them are not gonna go right, and all three might not go right. But a lot of y'all that call yourself junkie, we boxing junkies, we boxing. No, y'all not. Now, I wish y'all stop saying that shit because you sound stupid. Y'all not boxing junkies. You're boxing groupies. You're groupies. Reggie, what up? What up? What up? What up? Salute, salute, fam. Y'all not boxing junkies. Y'all groupies. Because if you take the time to understand boxing, take the time to understand it. Not take the time to understand a fighter's name or his record or where he's from or how he boxes. But if you take the time to understand, pay attention to certain shit. I know every time I watch a fight, even though I'm hype about seeing it, I know there's a disappointment. There's disappointment waiting. Rather, if it's in the fighter's performance, and it's, you know what? Let me take that back. Sometimes it might not even be in the fighter's performance. I know it's that referee is going to end up, depends on who the referee is. He's not going to let these guys get in there and do what they do. Because he might be he might be a little biased about what fighter he likes, so he ain't trying to watch the other fighter get his ass whipped too much. Oh, don't think that the referees ain't fans. And then you got these judges. You got these judges. And the thing is, you already know when you see the referee in the ring or you see a certain judge, you hear their name. 9 times out of 10, the fix is in. So I don't understand for you guys as so-called boxing junkies and experts and act like I've been watching the sport 30 or 40 fucking years. So when something happened, now everybody's looking stupid. Yeah. Now everybody's sitting around looking stupid. You know what I'm saying? Come on, man. That's all I'm saying, y'all. Y'all gotta pay attention to this shit. Y'all be so quick to call yourself junkies and I'm a boxing fan. And man, listen, pay attention. This shit ain't hard to figure out. It's not hard. I say this every time on my show. Like, if the shit makes you that upset, then maybe you should reconsider on watching it. Maybe you should fall back for a second. But y'all junkies, you can't tell a junkie he could fall back, but you also can't keep complaining about the same shit. Of course, something needs to be done with a lot of these judges. Oh hell yeah, a lot of these refs. A lot of them need to be done. If they not stopping the fight too fast, they not letting a fighter fight, or they letting another fighter get away with certain shit, headbutts, too much. There's plenty of fights I watch where I'd be like, damn, ref, you just gonna keep letting dude headbutt him like that? Damn, ref, you gonna keep breaking them up? When they take the fighter in the corner, they talk. You ever seen that? They let the other. This is how you know it'd be crazy because they'll take another fighter in the corner to talk to him, and they be sitting there just talking to him. And I'm like, damn, why you talking to him? This dude's just he over here catching his breath. Let him fight, ref. Goddamn, what is you doing? What are you doing? I know y'all seen fights like that. You be like, yo, ref, what is you doing? It's like they be over here saving them. I pay attention to a lot of this shit. When they mention giving long ass breaks, yeah, they give them long ass breaks. When they mention who the judges are, a lot of these judges, I don't know who they are. But I already know it's going to be some bullshit. A lot of these judges, I don't look them up. I don't read on them. I don't know how long they've been in the game. For me, sometimes I really don't care. But I already know, yeah, it's going to be about 2 judges that's going to have some fucked up scorecards. That's going to change everything. Or it's always that one scorecard. Like whenever you get a 110 to 117 or 111 to 117, you already know. You like, here we go. Bro, what fight was you watching that made you even come up with that scorecard? That score, if y'all ever noticed, 117 to 111 is probably one of the most, I don't want to say the most popular scorecard, but the most, like, It's a rigged scorecard. It's rigged. But when you see shit like that, it's just certain shit y'all got to pay attention to. Y'all can't just be fans. You can't just be fans. Like when you hear these trolls come in these channels and they be talking, these motherfuckers don't be knowing what they be talking about. They don't be knowing what they be talking about. Some of y'all with wrenches don't be knowing what y'all be talking about. I be on some channels and I see people with wrenches and they be trolling like a mug. I don't know how the hell they got a wrench. Some of them, I don't know, man. People who with their channels, they just give people wrenches because people come over to their channel every day. I'm not giving you a wrench just because you come over to my channel. It's not happening. You got to earn that. It's got to be something about you that make me feel like, yeah, you deserve that. Let me throw one at you. But some of y'all need to reconsider on who the hell y'all give a wrench to. But last night it was great, despite on what people complained about. I enjoyed Pro Box. I enjoyed PBC. I didn't get to watch the whole PBC card, but I'm gonna go try to see if I can watch it all over. Shout out to Sebastian Fundora for going and doing his thing. You know what I mean? Shout out to Booker for standing up to it. Standing up to it. That was a lot to take. Shout outs to Booker, man. But there's just no way you can train for a guy like Sebastian, man. You know what I'm saying? Jabberee, what's up, my brother? Shout outs to him though, you know what I mean? Sebastian Fedora's all right, man. I like that kid, man. I like that kid. I like that kid more or less because that kid is not really so much of a trash talker. I like him. Him and his sister are my two favorites. They're my two favorites. I like Sebastian, man. I really do. I didn't know nothing about Booker too much, man, but he was a brother, you know, from Connecticut, right down the street from me. And shout outs to him, man. Booker got hard. I like the way what he went in there and did. So what? He didn't last long. It's okay. It's all right. He went in there and he did what he can do. It's kind of hard when you can go in there with a man that's 6'6", 154 freaking pounds. You ain't gonna just go in there and get a man like that up out of there. You know what? Listen, that's what this is about. That's why I did this whole live source because I thought about it and I'm like, you know what? Oh shit. I'm sorry, Sauce. Hold on, Sauce. I thought about it and I'm like, you know what? Why would that not be next? He said rehydrates the foot. Yeah, man. Why would that not be next? I'm hoping. I'm not taking nothing away from Virgil Ortiz, who you got to keep his name in there. You got a couple people. You got Tim Zoo trying to make his comeback, and I would love to see him and Tim Zoo rematch if it's possible. But anything is possible in the sport. I'm hoping. I'm hoping to see that. That's going to be a good one. Source. I sent you the link if you want it, because me, I don't ever put my link in the I don't ever put my link in the chat because you can't do that nowadays. Can't do that nowadays. These Yeah, I'm sorry, y'all. That was my fault. It had nothing to do with YouTube. That was me. Xander is the WBO mandatory. Top Rank will have that enforced thing. Zayes was in the ring with Fundora after the fight. Yeah, like I was saying, 54 is looking crazy right now. You know what I'm saying? You got Tim Tszyu he's gonna be making his comeback against Joey Spencer. Joey Spencer now is nothing to sleep on. I don't care if he lost to Ramos, if he got stopped, and I don't care nothing about none of that. Joey Spencer, he's still a big impact player, rather if you're a fan of him or not. Doesn't matter if you have I can't, what's that word, man? Shit. Expectations, whatever for him, it doesn't matter. He's still a problem. Um, so when you look at 54, 54 is a problem. But Sebastian Fundora is a bigger problem. Even though you had Brian, people look at the Brian Mendoza fight and they go, "Oh yeah, Brian did it, and I could do it." Well, if that's the case, it would have got done. If you took Brian Mendoza and put him back in there with Sebastian, it probably wouldn't go the same. Sebastian probably would stop him. You live and you learn from your mistakes. But to see the people on the other side come together with PBC, I think it's great. I think it's great if we can see that. It's even more great to have it in New York. Mexico versus Puerto Rico. I mean, that is what Sebastian Fundora is, though, right? So that would be great. Mexico versus Puerto Rico, have it in New York. Let's make it happen. Why wouldn't we? Why wouldn't we do that? That has, to me, in my opinion, that has Madison Square Garden written all over it. Not the theater, but the big venue. Hell, if they was to be able to do it in June, July, fine, cool. That's cool with me. But that is major. That is major. And nobody's gonna not tell me that that's not major. That is major to have both of those guys, Mexico versus Puerto Rico, and you could take that fight. Hey, Sauce, man, look, brother, that fight. I don't know about you, Sauce, but I'm telling you that Sebastian Fundora, Xander Zayes has New York written over it, and it has Madison Square Garden. And I'm not talking about the theater. I'm talking about the big venue, the big house. Welcome, my brother, the Boxer Sauce.
Yo, what's up? What's up? No Duck Zone in the building. Um, yeah, like everything you said, pretty much makes sense. I've heard a few people talk about that as a, future matchup, but
Yeah,
they tried to like put it in June. But when I was talking with my source there that deals with Xander Zayes, they said that they ain't gonna, try to have Zayas fight in June, at least at the time that I spoke with them, because that was going to be or at least some thought that would be the plan for Xander Zayas was to be on for, Puerto Rican Day Parade weekend or something. They were trying to
yeah.
looked like they were trying to set it up from last year, but since they were able to position Zayas to be the number one contender for the WBO, they're like saying, hey, you know what? Why don't we just, wait it out, see what happens here with this Fundora matchup, and then just put it in for, him to be the mandatory challenger. I mean, they did that with, Sandor Martin, with him, being able to face, Alberto Puello, right, for the WBC. So they're going to end up doing it here again for the WBO for 154.
So does that mean Xander crosses over? He would have to come to Xander would have to come to PBC for that. Not
That's a good
sign with
question.
PBC, but he would have to come over.
That's a good question. Um, I don't know. I don't know. He might, because I mean, if you think about it, I'm not sure if he's had that many main events in comparison to Sebastian Fundora, right?
Yeah, yeah, that's the thing too.
Fundora's, of course, he had this main event here. He's been part of the thing there, like against Erickson Lubin. You talk about the thing there where he had the loss there, but also he was part of the thing for him against Tim Tszyu, a year ago. It's pretty much been almost a year
Yes.
exactly. So with that being said, it'll be Fundora as the basically the headliner person. Is just would Fundora and his promoter Shams Lukowitz be down with having a fight over in New York City? You know, we'll see.
His sister didn't seem too interested in them doing a face-off. I noticed in the video, I noticed yesterday, she was just like, she looked at Xander like, yeah, nah, we're not, like, it wasn't really no conversation. Like, they greeted each other, but after that, I noticed when I looked at his sister, she was like, nah, we ain't about to do all that. Like kind of brushed him off, like, nah, we ain't.
Well, I mean, mandatory is the mandatory, and I know it's, you know, kind of been a tough break of sorts from a financial perspective for Sebastian Fundora, because, you know, he was talked about as, you know, potentially defending the titles against Terrence Crawford or against Errol Spence Jr. But
yeah,
you know, Crawford's moved on. He's gonna, you know, he's working on facing Canelo Alvarez, and Errol Spence is all good, man. He's chilling. He ain't looking to get back.
Yeah. I think it made more sense, because when you look at Xander and you look at Sebastian, first of all, these are two young lions. They're young.
Mm-hmm.
I think Sebastian might just be a couple years older, what, 27, and you have Xander, what, 21, 22? So
He's 21.
you know, you still got Sebastian. They need to stop lying. Yeah, Sebastian. Yes, you know, yeah, because he didn't seem interested yesterday, and I'm like, okay, but
22, yeah.
I like Xander's energy though, because he's making it clear, like, dog, you can't. I don't care. We can't. You know what? You know what it is too. We can't do that different sides of the streets no more. That's over. That different sides of the streets is over, because everybody get money now.
Yeah.
Everybody's getting money together. It ain't even about if I like you. It's about if this makes sense. This is business. I don't have to like you. You know, Eddie and De La Hoya ain't best friends, but when it's business, they gonna come and they gonna get this money. So there's no all that different sides of the street. It's quiet. It's quiet for that. And I like Xander's energy, because Xander's like, look, man, it ain't no avoiding me. Now I'm here. Even if I'm here. No matter where you go, I'm here. You're gonna have to see me. And so I was glad to see that. I was surprised he was in the building, because I wasn't thinking about him being in the building. So when they said he was there, the first thing I said was, yeah, oh, man, he gonna run down on him. He's about to run down on Fundora.
Yeah, I mean, you know, I had like heard about, you know, Zayes being the potential mandatory challenger, you know, about a couple weeks ago or so. So once this fight, you know, came about, like with him being there, I wasn't really surprised that much. So it's more about, you know, them trying to build it up, you know, as far as like making that be in the next fight for Sebastian Fundora, you know. So, and outside of, you know, with Xander Zayes kind of like, I don't know, getting a final eliminator or mandatory or WBO interim thing. No, they said no, we ain't doing that. We going straight for the world champion. So that's what they're going to do at Top Rank.
Let me ask you, besides somebody just being the mandatory, and you're like, yo, you know, that's the guy that I want. And I know this is an awkward question to ask, but to me, this is how I think. Because when you see people actually want fights with people, whether they're mandatory or not, you say to yourself, what do he see? Is it something that he see that he feel like he can expose in this guy? So what is it? I mean, what do you think that Xander sees that he could probably expose? Because, like, you know, Sebastian's a big target, especially at 54. You know, like, we're not talking about some little guy. We're talking about the guy who should be playing on somebody's basketball team. But what do you see? What do you think he sees in them?
I'm not sure. I mean, the only thing is, as you mentioned before, you know, I was able to join the live, is that, you know, I think people are kind of like banking on what Brian Mendoza did, right? But you know, that happens as a one-off. It wasn't like Brian Mendoza was like beating up Sebastian Fundora. Fundora was winning that fight, you know.
Yeah.
So it was just an instance where, you know, Fundora made a mistake and got caught. You know, that's pretty much what that was. So with that being said, I guess Zayes is, you know, wants to build off of that and seeing if he could, you know, go ahead and use that as something to potentially, you know, fight Fundora and beat Fundora. But my thing with Zayes is that given his past couple of fights, at least for me at 22, I'm not sure if he's ready for that yet. Because you talk about Sebastian Fundora and who Fundora's fought, over the course of his career so far. Like you got wins over Erickson Lubin.
It's levels.
Wins over Tim Zhu, Carlos Ocampo. Yeah, it's
levels. It's levels.
So that's something that with Zayes that he has to kind of like have in his mind is that Fundora has had a number of these big fights. You know what I mean?
Oh, that's what he was replying. That's what he was talking about. C-Dub was talking about that. Okay.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
It's like, because the WBO at the time said like, hey, you had this thing here so you could, basically, have a medical exemption. But they were like saying, hey, we don't necessarily need it. And at the time when they had ordered, Crawford as the mandatory challenger, they were saying, okay, cool. What's up? I mean, we good. Like, we defend the title or, we get paid. So we cool. That was like the first joint. But the problem was Crawford had already locked down the fight with Israel Madrimov. So it was like, so they couldn't do it that first time around. And then the second time it was like, okay, cool, let's do it. And well, Crawford wanted the bigger fight. So that's how that worked out.
You know what? When I think of this fight, it's crazy. This is going to be a crazy comparison. This is crazy. And I don't want people to be like, you're bugging. If it happens, it kind of reminds me of Cotto and Margarita. It kind of reminds me of that, except for we know Sebastian's no cheater.
Yeah, exactly.
And I don't want to see Xander in a position where he got to take a couple knees because that's a lot of power you got to stand up to. If people just look at Sebastian as being taller, but he can actually punch. He can punch.
Yeah.
And to take one of those bombs from him, I mean, damn it. I'm not trying to predict the fight, but I don't want to see Xander go out like that. So it's like, but hey, if he's the mandatory, then we got to do what we got to do.
Yeah, it's like you got to.
There's no favoritism.
That's why I said I'm like, at least for me, in what I view with Xander Zayes is like I feel like he needs a couple more fights to kind of tone, pretty much refine his strategy, his skill level, and all of that before going up against the Sebastian Fundora.
Yeah. You know what? I post a picture. I post a picture up on my Facebook, right? And I said, I put something where it was Bruce Carrington against Stephen Fulton. And a lot of people, was going for Bruce. But then if somebody hit me back and they was like, Fulton had better opponents than Bruce. Bruce might have to wait for that. And out of everybody who said something about when I posted that was all going for Bruce. And then this one guy was like, look, man, I'm not from Philly. I'm not from New York, but I've watched both of them and I have nothing against Bruce, but I've seen Fulton's opponents. And his opponents were like, he had a lot of great opponents compared to Bruce. That's a fight that is great, but you'll have to probably wait about a year. Let's see Bruce get in there with somebody. Let's wait. And I'm like, I had to think about it because some people, they get mad. Some people, they go, oh, man, you crazy. You don't know what you're talking about. But when you take the time to really think about what somebody's saying versus you getting upset, even if it doesn't make sense to you, just take the time to think about it. And now that we're mentioning this, it's like, but if it's mandatory, there's a difference. If it's mandatory, it's like, hey, we got to get, because everybody goes around screaming. Everybody goes around screaming about they want the best fights. I want the best fights in boxing. And then when the best fights are brought to you, you go, nah, man, he ain't
ready for it. Yeah. Like, and in this instance, like what we got?
I don't know, C-Dub. I don't know if he wanted to. I can't answer that, C-Dub.
Yes. Because
okay, yeah, I'll let you answer it because I can't answer that.
Like, through the channel, through my channel, you go back through interviews. I talked with Samson Lukowicz, and this is like in July. pretty much around that
Yeah.
July, August time, right? This is
Yes.
after, pretty much around that time that Terrence Crawford fought Israel Madrimov, right?
Yeah.
So you had the first order by the WBO. And at that time, they were talking about the medical exemption. This was around, like they said, like April 8th, April 9th, or something like that. Around the same time that the WBO did that, Terrence Crawford pretty much had an agreement pretty much set in place to face Israel Madrimov, part of that, Riyadh season deal. So it was like, it really didn't make, much sense at that point, right? You fast forward, and Terrence Crawford has to fight. He wins that WBA belt. He wins the WBO interim belt, and then we revisit it with Sam Lukowicz. And Lukowicz is saying, like, hey, we got Errol Spence on one side that, had been Errol Spence, still, regardless of what happened with Terrence Crawford. And then you have Terrence Crawford. Both of them generate like a lot of money. So why would we want to get to a point where either we, relinquish the WBO title if we don't face Terrence Crawford, or have the thing here, like if we face Errol Spence, right? Or if we just end up facing Terrence Crawford with the unified titles. Either way, we get paid. So it didn't matter to them, because they're like, hey, this is the biggest fight of our careers, regardless of who we face. So it was more about, okay, if the WBO orders it, okay, cool, let's do it. But what happened is the second time they had an extension, which was granted, and then they had a resolution, which was granted. So Fundora didn't have that fight with Terrence Crawford. And then with the Errol Spence thing, like it just, faded away. So that's why he ended up facing Cordell Booker at this time, because neither one of those fights took place.
Because when it happened to me, right, I was like, no disrespect. I said, who the hell is Booker? And I'm like,
right, yeah.
All the opponents, I'm like, he's been going. I said, Fundora's been going for about a year. I said, well, how the hell did he end up coming with this dude Booker? And, because, when we hear a name that we're not familiar with, the first thing we want to do is criticize.
Mm-hmm.
We're saying, oh, either he ducking somebody, or what is this guy doing? How is this your comeback fight?
Right.
And but that makes sense, because at the same time, you got to stay busy.
Yeah, exactly.
You got to stay busy. You got to stay irrelevant, because everybody thinks that when you make a comeback fight, your comeback fight is not going to always be a comeback fight, if you get what I'm saying, which means it's not going to always be with somebody that you're familiar with. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? They expect you to come and jump back into the fire. And it's like, well, what do you think I've been doing this whole time when you wasn't seeing me? Certain fights we were trying to make happen that was impossible to make happen. And if we can't force guys to fight us, and a lot of times money plays a role. Exactly. We can't come to an agreement. You know what I'm saying? So, all right, this guy's available. Well, you know what? Give me this guy. And until I find out who my mandatory is, give me this guy. And I think this is why when I started the show earlier, I was telling people, y'all need to take the time to learn the game, understand it. Mm-hmm. Because you think because you're a fan, that makes you understand the game. You have to understand how this shit works sometimes. A lot of times you can't pull these guys' hands and make them fight. You just can't. Right. And you got to stay active. And at 27, you don't want to be sitting around at 27 and just thinking you got all day, because you don't. Yeah. So you gotta get in there. You gotta get in there and do what you do, man. But because I'm not gonna lie, I was like, Booker. I'm like, oh, come on. So, all right. So, they just going there now they just going to get anybody. But when you think about it, it makes sense. But so you look at Xander, you look at Sebastian, but then you start looking at everybody else that's at 54. And 54 is looking real nasty right now. Yeah. We got Tim Tszyu, and we got Joey Spencer coming up. And I want to get to that for a second, because I told people, I just said, no matter how you feel about Joey Spencer's a hell of a fighter. He may not be everybody's favorite, but he's also somebody that you can't sleep on. Yeah. And this is a great test for Tim. Because Tim went through, we all see what Tim went through in his last fight. Jesus Christ. Jesus Christ. I don't know if Tim slept on that man, or somebody didn't give that man the 411 about.
I did. Going into that fight, I did. But it was just a absolute mess there.
You ever got your popcorn and you get ready to watch something, and before that happens, it happens, and you like, it's only the third round. Whoa, wait a minute. I'm sitting there with the look on my face like, well,
yeah,
so much for a comeback.
right. And some people said in hindsight that maybe Tim Tszyu shouldn't have, returned to the ring that soon. And I said, hey, it could have been even worse. You could have seen Tim Tszyu in the ring on August 3rd last year against Virgil Ortiz Jr. Now imagine how that would have been.
Yeah, because Virgil surprised me with his last fight. I'm not gonna lie. I was, and this is why I got to be careful. I was like, yeah, Virgil, this might be it for you. Virgil went in there, did way better than anybody thought he was going to do. He had a couple people stunned, like, Virgil really want to be here. He really wants this. Because, you got to remember, there was a time in Virgil's career we wasn't too sure about him. We wasn't too sure. We was like, yeah, this dude ain't going to be with the whole boots. And then when he called Crawford out, we was like, this is just a publicity stunt. Like, what is this dude serious? Like, we don't know. And then lately he's been really showing us, yo, I want to be here. And hey, I want Fundora too. And I'll take Xander and I'll take whoever else is on the list. So this makes 54 very interested. But as far as this Fundora and Xander, you think Tim should fight Keith Thurman? Keith,
that's what they're setting it up for. I mean, if you're gonna have, you talk about the thing there with inactivity and fighters still like being in the gym.
Yeah,
Thurman was, he was looking to potentially face like a Terrence Crawford or somebody of that caliber.
I wouldn't mind.
Just didn't, necessarily work out like that. And then he had to fight with Tim Tszyu and got injured again. So, I mean, it's like he's still been, back and forth in the gym regardless. So when he did against Rock Jarvis, hey, he looked like he never really left the ring.
I'm even thinking about entertaining Thurman and Ortiz if it was to come to that. I'm thinking about entertaining Thurman and Ortiz. Like, listen, because after a while, you can't sit on the couch and keep waiting for that one phone call.
Mm-hmm.
You can't wait. You gotta go. Whatever's out there, you gotta go. You don't want to, because a lot of times you don't want to shelf yourself because you're sitting home and you're waiting. They haven't gave me that fight. So until they give me that fight, I'm not doing nothing. It's like being a little kid that can't get what he wants from the store. I can't get nothing, so I'm just going,
Yeah.
You can't pout. You got to take what you can get. And right now, 54 is looking like a real threat. We talked about how 40 looks and how 35 looks. And we kind of got away from 54 because once Charlo's and them fell back and we had certain guys leave 54, we didn't see anymore. 54 wasn't really nothing to even really talk about like that. Even when Fundora coming, we was just like, all right, well, it ain't nothing to really get excited about.
A good one. Because you said like, what was it, back in 2023, May 2023, I think it was, where was it 22? Nah, it was 22, where you had the fight between Jermell Charlo and Brian Carlos Castaño, that rematch.
Yes. One of my favorite fights.
Yeah, and at that time, they're at the Punch Bowl or whatever they call it. They also had, Tim Tszyu and Sebastian Fundora there. So it was like those two were like viewed as the next people up for, Jermell Charlo. So
I remember they both showed up to his fight, right? Yeah. And it was crazy because when they both showed up, I didn't think then, but I thought about it after. I'm like, yo, well, y'all sitting there waiting on him. Y'all two need to fight. So I didn't think it actually was going to happen. When I first found out that Tim and Fundora was going, I said, now this makes sense.
Yeah.
I didn't see the outcome going the way it went, but it happened. And that ended up being probably one of the bloodiest fights we didn't see in a minute, but it also actually being one of my top 10. And I'm hoping I'm just hoping, rather if it makes sense to anybody or not, that maybe that Tim could get his get back. If it happens, we can make it happen, because I want to see them. I definitely want to see them do it again.
We really got to see what he does against Joey Spencer, though. I mean,
we do, because now you know what people should say, you know what people are going to say now? The famous quote, "Oh, he should beat him."
Right? Yeah. I mean,
He should beat him.
that's what I was saying. Like, hey, I slipped on the thing there with with Bakram. I was like, Tim should beat him. And then we saw what happened. I'm like, so here it's pretty much up in the air now because of what
you got to remember, Joey Spencer's a guy where you can't go in there just doing what you want to do to him.
Right.
He's not going to let you have his way. The last guy who did that was just the guy last night, Ramos. He went in there and did what he did, and he had his way with Joey Spencer. It's not about to happen, because you got to remember, Tim is not just coming off a loss. It's not just a loss. It was the way he lost.
Yeah.
It's different when you lose on the scorecards. Cool. But when you get stopped and you're slumped and you got this look on your face like, okay, what just happened?
Right. Like,
because that's how he looked. Like, what happened?
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? So that could be kind of, so this is great for him, and Joey. They both experience being stopped. I don't want to see Charlo make a comeback. See what Canelo did to him. I've heard about him possibly coming back. I don't know. And if he doesn't come back, I'm gonna be honest with you, I'm okay with it. I'm okay with it, because a lot of these guys left us with great memories. They left us with great memories. So if guys don't ever come back, I want them to ride off into the sunset and enjoy their families. Because sometimes you come back, rather if it's financial or because you miss the sport or because you think you could beat a fighter, sometimes you just got to know when to just stay away, because if you don't retire from boxing, it will retire you.
Yeah.
Sometimes you just got to know to stay away, because the generations are getting younger. They're not getting old. They're getting younger. So that one lion that you used to be, you're not that no more. So when you're 35, 36, and then here it is, you got this kid 22, 23. You know what I mean? It's like, I just sit this out. You might want to sit this out. But if he comes back, God willing, Charlo comes back, look, I got no beef. I have no beef. I don't know if he'll come back and be that same guy. I got no beef with it. All I know is that 54 is looking totally different from what it did 2-3 years ago.
Yeah, but here's the thing with 54 with Jermell Charlo, right?
Yeah,
like he was, of course, like the former undisputed champion at 54 before having a fight with Canelo. And even though like the WBO title was stripped at that time, he still was like held as the champion in the WBC, WBA, and IBF. For some time, he was the champion in recess for the WBC. He's still the WBA champion in recess for the WBA. So if he wants to, he could come back at 154 and still fight for that title. Now the thing is, like, who would he end up fighting? Would people want to see if he would go up against like a Yoenis Zayes? How would people think that he would fare against a Yoenis Zayes? I don't know, but that's the possibility out there for Jermell Charlo if he wants to go ahead and do it. So
I mean, yeah. There's always somebody out there for somebody, even if we're not familiar with who the opponent is. And that's the scary thing, because, sometimes you got to be careful with that. You go get a guy that we ain't never heard of, and then he could beat the hell out your favorite fighter. He might beat the hell out your favorite fighter. And the first question we asking is, where did this guy come from? The guy that Tim fought, I never paid no attention to him. So now my question was, after he beat Tim, was, who the hell is this guy? Because I never really did my homework on him. And that's my fault. And it's a lot of our fault, because if we call ourselves boxing fans, we need to start looking up these guys, so at least we could be able to say, When everybody else is on the panel arguing with you, telling you, Sauce, you don't know what you're talking about. You ain't never seen this guy. You don't know nothing about him. And now, Sauce, you go, that's not true. I did my homework on him.
Yeah.
I've actually seen 3 or 4 of his fights. Oh, this is not going to go the way y'all think it might go. Even if this guy lose, he's not coming in there to lay down.
Exactly.
But, you know, these guys don't want to do that. I think
it's
Xander,
that too, but also like I was saying with a lot of times, as far as like, you know, me being on the schedule that I'm on, like we have these fights back to back to back to back to back, or fight cards like back to back to back, or as what happened yesterday, right? We had 2 fight cards on at the same time.
yes,
And then
which
one
I didn't
that
know
was
that.
like over in Australia, which is like mad early in the morning over here. So
Oh man,
there's like a
yes.
whole bunch of fights and fighters that we have to catch up with in order to say, hey, okay, we got the research on this and that, and it
It's a
gets
lot.
crazy at times.
It's a lot, especially for
Yeah.
us, for me, you, and other guys who actually go to these. We go to these, you know, these press conferences and all. It'd be a lot sometimes. Sometimes it'd be overwhelming. You know, you be in the city a lot and you move around a lot, and I'd be proud to see you in a lot of places. But you know, I just went to 2 press conferences when Turkey Al Sheikh and them was here. I did 2, and then I had to end up on radio. That was a lot, man. I'm not gonna lie to you. I was sitting here drained.
Yeah.
I was tired. And then 360 Promotions, they did something. And I'm sitting there like, how do you people do this? Yo, this is a lot.
Hey, I don't know how, but there was someone that went to the fight card in Orlando last week and then turned around and made it to the fight card that was in Madison Square Garden, the St. Patrick's Day joint. I'm like,
Huh?
I'm like, how?
How is that possible? How the hell did they
Like,
do both?
I don't know why they would do both.
They
But
must got a
unless
hell of
they're based,
they must got a
like for example, if they're based in New York, okay, then I could see it, right? Because you know the thing is, like being in Orlando Airport, they have like a large airport. They recently built like a new like terminal out there, so you could get like to any like big city within a nonstop flight from Orlando Airport. So okay, I could see that, but for me, as far as like saying, okay, I'm resting up from being at Orlando. So you mean I got to turn around and go right back out? Now get this. This is the other thing why I want to see if you made it, because that next day in Orlando, for some strange reason, after the mad early flights, they shut down almost every other flight from that point. So there was like a whole bunch of delays and cancellations and all that type of stuff. Like one person that was covering the fights in Orlando on Saturday was trying to get out on Sunday and couldn't get out because, well, in that instance, the airline wasn't forthcoming as far as like delays or if the fight was canceled or flight was canceled or anything like that. So they ended up leaving the airport, and then the replacement flight or whatever it is that he got moved to actually did go out, but they couldn't like wait there at the airport or stay there at the airport.
Yeah.
But still, you still had like flights at like 8:00 p.m., 6 p.m., 10 p.m. All them canceled. It was crazy.
The craziest thing I've ever did was I went to Jersey. I went to Newark for an amateur fight. The same day that I did that, they had a fight, an amateur show in the Bronx. I'm debating and I'm like, damn, I'm right here. It don't make no sense. You're right here. Why would you go all the way to Newark? Even though Newark is not far. What are you doing? I'm telling myself, I'm going to both. Now, how am I going to pull this off? But the great thing about it was one show started, I think it was about think it was about 1 o'clock, maybe 2 or I think the Jersey show was about 2 or 3 o'clock. The New York show was 5. I said, you know what? This is how we're gonna do it. I'm gonna go up in there. I'm gonna watch about 10 fights. That's enough time for me to get up out of there. And went and recorded those 10 fights, got out of there, and went live too. This is before my YouTube channel. Went live on Instagram. So people in the gram, they see me. They go, yo, you're not coming to the fight today? I was like, yo, I'll be there. They're like, how? You in Jersey? I said, I'll be there. Show's over. I show up in the Bronx. If you would have saw the look on their face, Source, they're like, yo, what are you doing? I'm like, I told y'all I was coming to the show. And it was just like, yo, you that dedicated? Yes, I am. I'm that dedicated to it. If I could make it to both, believe me, I would do it. But it's a lot of work, man. But this is what we do. I've never been to 2 press conferences in 1 week. Here it is. I'm doing the
I've done that.
I'm doing the Times Square joint on a Tuesday, and then 2 days later, I'm doing William Skull and Canelo in Radio City. I'm tired.
I've done that at one point as well. I talked about the Charlo Castaño fight that was, in California.
Yeah.
That same weekend they had it was like a Triller card where you had Kubrat Pulev fighting on it. His brother Tervel Pulev was on, I think, against Kovalev, right? So they had 2 press conferences, and the weigh-ins in the hotels was like 3 or 4 blocks from each other. So I'm going to like both of them, back and forth to both of them. And I tell you, man, like scenes like that is crazy. It's crazy. Or like last year, going to the Keyshawn Davis Gustavo Lemos in Norfolk.
Yeah. And
then the next morning, driving from Norfolk, stopping at my spot, and then driving up to Philadelphia for the Boots fight against Chukagian that next day or the next night. So it was, you talk about like crazy. That was crazy. You know what I mean?
Now, for these people that call themselves boxing junkies, y'all have no right to that title. Because if anybody should have that title, it should be us. Because we're the real junkies. Because we don't know when to go home. We don't know when to say enough is enough. You know what I'm saying? But this is what we do though. Rather if you're getting paid to do it or not. Like, you know how many people have to fill their car with gas to get to where they got to go, to pay for a bus ticket, to get on the train. I don't care if it's Amtrak or if it's New Jersey Transit. The sacrifices we make to get to these places, man. Sometimes by the time you get to where you're going, you only might have enough to buy you a soda or a sandwich. Yeah, depends on people don't have it like that. They see us at these events and swear up and down like the promotional companies. They act like the promotional companies is paying us to be there, and I'm like, man, I ain't got nothing but $5 in my pocket.
Right, exactly.
I can't do nothing but go down Times Square and go buy 2 slices of pizza for $1.50.
That's right.
You can't do nothing because I can't afford a $5-6 pizza. So I got to take this $5 I got, go get me 2 slices and a soda, and be on my merry way.
Yep, that's right.
We make sacrifices, man.
Listen,
we make sacrifices to do this. We the real boxing junkies, not y'all.
Unless when they say like all this stuff here, like even with my channel, I could pretty much consider this as like a non-profit organization right now. Like I'm glad you
said that. I'm glad you said that.
Necessarily, like saying that I have like an actual profit, like doing this stuff. Like I've been doing this for a while, and still haven't gotten to the point where like make those trips on my own. I have to have something else.
You got to do that. Hey, Dub, I'm still. I appreciate you, Kane, but let me tell you something. I'm still kind of like, I'm still in the beginning of my stages, man, because I haven't even done traveling like I want to. I have to keep the East Coast because I don't have money to go out to the West or the Midwest. Because if I did, I would be out there. I gotta listen. Like even with the amateurs, because I deal with them. I just hit a couple of people up to try to do some shows in Connecticut. I know this promotion company, this girl, Bad Girls promotion
Bad
out
Girl
there in
Promotion.
Baltimore, Maryland.
Yeah,
They
that's
get ready to do
Cena,
something May
Senior
17th.
Cobb's wife.
They
Yeah.
get ready to do something. They get ready to do an amateur show May 17th. I'm like, I'm going. I'm going to reach out to her actually right after I get off with you and like, look, I want in on that. So, you know, you have to sacrifice. That's what it is, C-Dub. We have to make sacrifice. This is why we don't have time to be arguing with people about this and that. And we the ones that's actually making the moves.
Like,
you know what I'm saying? Like, we sat in the Barclays Center and waited 4.5 hours for Javante Tate Davis to pull up. I ain't had nothing but probably like $2 in my pocket. Starving. Thank God they fed us, but it was beside the point. I'm starving.
Yeah, right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Sacrifices.
It's crazy. Like, I was able to complete this run, and even though like the one from last week didn't necessarily count because that was like a last minute type thing, and that was just like a giveaway, right? But check this run. February 1st in Vegas, February 14th in New York City. March 1st in Brooklyn, and then March 15th in Orlando. That's 4 events within what?
That's crazy. That's and people don't understand. For some of us, not speaking for all of us, some of us we can make moves like that because we have nobody to go home to. And there's some of us who have families to where it's like you got to explain to your other half. Because they're going to want to know, why do you feel like you have to go to every show that comes up?
Yeah. Yep.
If we have to explain to them, there's something great that's going to come out of it. You just got to be patient and wait. Because, you know, when we doing this, everybody expect to see money. Are these promotional companies paying you? Y'all get paid? Everything is paid. And my thing is how I make my money is my business. Because No Doug Zone is not just a brand. It's a business. So I always let people know, if your brand is not a business, then I don't know what you got going on, because that's what it's supposed to be. It's supposed to be a business. Now, if you just up here for your 15 minutes of fame and you trying to get the world to know who you are, more power to you. Go ahead, do your thing. But this is a business. So a lot of times we're going to work harder than we supposed to. Like, we only going into the 4th month of the new year. And do you realize how much stuff is getting ready to come up? We got this Amanda Serrano and Katie Teller trilogy that's about to happen at the Dark July 11th. It's about to be Sauce. I hope you don't make no plans, Sauce. It's about to be pure chaos in the month of July.
No, I've talked about that. I said, when it was announced, I'm like, I saw the date. I'm like, come on, y'all. Come on. Like, if I even had any inkling of planning on being up there for that weekend, I would have to stay in Jersey. Jersey. There's no way I could stay in New York for that weekend. Impossible.
Man, if you stay in New York, you can forget about it.
You can forget about it. Like, come on.
You can forget about it.
I'm not even thinking about all that. Like, I mean, shoot, like, and that's the thing. It's like all of these events that happen like back to back to back. It's like you got to choose. Okay, which ones am I going to make? Which ones did I have to pass on? Right? Like, for example, April 12th. I know about 4 events that's happening on April 12th. 4.
Yeah, I know. Professional too. Professional at that.
Professional
and amateur.
And I can't even. I said, you know what? I can't make.
I can't make the April 12th. I'm not gonna lie. I want to, but I already got invited to go to it. I already got invited to go to an amateur show, so I'm like, I can't do it. I can't do both.
And I already know, like, whether they told me or they haven't. Like, right now, I'm in the works of trying to push for at least one of those events that's happening in my area, and I can't make it.
Thank you, C-Dub. Well, you know what? Now, take the top promotional companies that you know, right? You start looking at the other promotional companies that people don't know about, 360 Promotions, Boxing Insider, Primetime Promotions. I mean, you got so many out there where you just like, it's too much going on in 1 week, 1 month. Yeah. Who do I apply to?
Mm-hmm.
Who do I answer to? And me, Not to sound like I'd be like I usually go to the people who answer me
Yeah.
because I don't really like wasting my time
Well,
and waiting.
it's one when they answer you, but it's another when they reach out to you. And there's some that will reach out to you because they understand the situation, they understand what
So
they have to do in order to
360
let
promotions
people know.
are great. 360 promotions are great. If
Yeah, that's
anybody
you
has
know from
never,
the K2 and
let
all
me
that.
tell you why they are so great. Shout outs to Ed, man. I've never seen where they actually reach out to you by communicating.
Yeah,
Hey, you going to the press conference tomorrow? You going to, there's a photo shoot tomorrow, right? I don't usually get that from nobody in no promotional company. That's
hmm
unheard of. It's unheard of. Because now a lot of these promotional companies is just like, look. We going with the channels that's popular, with the most subscribers. And when we feel like we get enough, that's it. We gonna hit you back in your email. Sorry, it's been filled. I mean, how many
yeah.
times have we heard that? Sorry. There'd be like 20 seats left, and they telling you sorry. The
hmm
seats is filled, and you get to the place and you like what are we doing? But this is why we love doing what we do. Rather we get yes or no. Just sitting up here talking about Sebastian and Zaya are giving me goosebumps because I'm just saying when this happens, not just them, but that whole card for that fight, it's gonna be something different.
Yeah, but it also goes to the point too of like you said, like this whole other side of the street stuff is done.
Yeah,
That
it's
would
done.
be
That's over. That's
that's an
over.
example, right?
It's
You
done.
had the other example, like I was talking about with April 12th. You got Boots versus Iman Stanionis. Boots is
Yeah.
with Matchroom. Stanionis is a TGB, like Heyman. Well, not really
Oh
TGB,
yeah,
but
that's right.
TGB boxer.
I
PBC and
didn't
all that
even
stuff,
think about that.
right? So that should just
It's
tell you
crazy.
that these like fights that are being made now is basically because they're like saying, hey, all that other side of the street stuff is over. And if folks are gonna still say that boxing is dead, no, we're having these fights where different promotional companies are working together to make sure that, as you say, if the fight makes sense or the money makes
Well,
sense, they're gonna make it happen.
people could say it's dead, and I don't know what they're watching. It's
Mm-hmm.
dead because it's not going the way you wanted to go, or your fighter is not fighting who like that. That seems like that's a you problem. Maybe you should DM your favorite fighter and talk to him. Let him know, look, I love you, and I'm out here crashing out on these channels. I'm getting into arguments over you, and you ain't producing nothing. But to take your anger out on the old sport and say that it's dead, no, it ain't dead. Like, I want to ask you something, and I'm gonna come back later this year and ask it. And you probably won't be able to answer this, but I want to see what you'll say. Out of all the promotional companies that we talked about, who do you think is going to have like the most explosive year out of all of them?
This year,
Yeah. Even though they all working together, like who's going to be the one
mm,
that's going to stand out of all of them?
uh, I still think it's going to be with TGB promotions, or as they say, like through Premier Boxing Champions.
Yeah.
But the reason why I say that is because I think a number of these other organizations won't have the type of events that Premier like that Heyman Boxing and TGB will have. A lot of these, and you've seen this over the past year and a half, a lot of these fighters that come from Top Rank, that come from Matchroom, that come from Golden Boy, are affiliated with or associated with what's happening with Riyadh season. Now,
Yeah.
with Riyadh season, okay, they had the step one. Now they're trying to develop something with TKO boxing, which is supposed to be completely independent. I get
Oh,
that. But
yeah.
at the same token, you got these top ranks, you got these match rooms, you got these, Golden Boy promotions that have a Virgil Ortiz's, that have like a Boots Ennis or Anthony Joshua, that have a Ryan Garcia or someone of that caliber. And it's like, okay, what does that lead to as far as like making big fights happen or make big events happen? We'll see. But as of right now, I'm seeing like there's going to be a few big events out there for TGB Promotions through Premier Boxing
Yeah.
Champions that people will be like, hey, this event stands out.
I think PBC will slowly surprise us because I see they're starting to make a little comeback. Because now the Joey Spencer, Tim Zeus, slowly they're making a comeback. And for a second, everybody was like, "Yo, they done. It's over. You're not gonna see them like that." But lately, they've been sneaking. They've been sneaking back in a little bit. And I think they're gonna pretty much surprise, especially when it comes to doing events at the Barclays Center. Because I always said that PBC and the Barclays Center always have a great relationship, and I'm hoping to see a lot more fights go on over there. But I think slowly they're gonna be creeping up on us, man. And and Eddie, every damn week is a fight with Eddie and them. Eddie and them, I'm not gonna lie, man. I don't understand. I remember watching when Eddie was it was 2 matchroom fights going on. One was in America and one was outside of America. I'm like, how's he? This is a lot.
Yeah.
Damn, Eddie. You know what I'm saying? But you got to give him his props, whether you like him or not, man. Matchroom, The Zone, they always doing their thing, man. And shout outs to everybody that's out there. I think this is going to be an amazing year. But like Source, people are always going to find something to complain about. And these people that's complaining, let's just be honest, man. They're not really like, what are they doing besides the complaining? DM your favorite fighter and tell your fighter to step his game up. But don't get mad and take it out on the whole sport. Yo, boxing's trash. No, you might be trash. Tell your favorite fighter to step his game up.
The ones that are complaining are usually the ones that aren't paying for the pay-per-views.
Y'all not boxing junkies. We the junkies. Because guess what? We on this every day. And I don't mean just on social media. We taking a little bit of money that we don't have just to get to these events. If I had it where I could fly to Vegas and I can go to Ohio and I can go to Michigan to see Carissa Shields fight, I would do it. Finance is the only thing that holds me back. And that's the reason why Doug Zone is a business. And I'm building the business where I could be able to travel to these events. So maybe y'all shouldn't call yourself junkies if you're not putting in the work, because it takes more than you just paying for pay-per-views. It takes more than just for that. We all paying for pay-per-views. We all paying for it. You know what I mean? And if it's something that we're not interested in, then I'm sure we'll stop paying in it, because there's a lot of things I'm not paying for. There's a lot of fights that come up I don't pay for, and I go, I'm not paying for that shit. If you told me Jake Paul and freaking Canelo's fighting, I'm not paying for it. I don't care even if Amanda Serrano's on it. I'm like, I like Amanda, but I'm not going to pay for that. It's just something I'm not going to do. And that's not me having beef with Jake. It's just certain things I'm not going to pay for. You understand what I'm saying? It is what it is. But let's see what happens. Let's hope we get this Xander, and Sebastian. If not, but if besides those two, who else at 54 that you would like to see, Sauce, if you could pick?
Ooh, that's if Backroom can't get something with Virgil Ortiz Jr., at least like have him, have a defense of the title that he has against someone like an Israel Madrimov, or I would have to figure out like who else would be there available for him. Because I know. Have Bakr Murtazaliev versus Jesus Ramos. That would be a great action fight. I would love
that guy. Ramos scares me.
Ramos did, Ramos is, props to him, because he's like been available for a number of interviews and conversations.
Yeah, he scares me. He scares me.
He had the one hiccup with Erickson Lubin.
Yeah,
and Of course, he had the fight there against Guido Emmanuel Strom last night.
He comes to fight, though. I love him. He comes to fight. Jesus Christ.
But I want to see him sit down more on his shots, because he does very well as far as like putting punches together, but it's nothing like, to me, where it's like concussive type power, to where it's like you have one punch, boom, and then it really like affects your opponent.
He mentioned Sebastian saying he was interested in him too, and I'm like, oh, okay. Well, you know, but you guys got to remember, right? Everybody has to get in. Everybody has to get in line. I think everybody needs to fight somebody to get in line.
They do,
because Sebastian, only thing with him is he knows everybody wants a piece of me, and that's not going to do nothing but make him work 10 times harder. It's going to make him work 10 times harder. He's just not going to let y'all go in there and treat him like Brian Mendoza did.
Okay.
And Brian Mendoza didn't really beat him. He beat him, but he caught him with a punch that he didn't see coming. And shout out to Brian Mendoza, man. I hope we see him. I hope eventually we see him back in the mix of things, because I like that guy too.
Yeah.
Hey, right, maybe that's a great return fight for Charlo. You think? Jamal Charlo, Brian Mendoza?
Yeah, that would be a very good one if he returns to 154. Yeah, I would see that as a
I think that'd be a great. Right. I think that'd be. I can't see Castano coming back. Castano got them 2 good paydays and pulled a Madonna on us and got out of here.
All right, so you said 154.
He went back to this country and got that.
So you said 154. All right, bet. So we're gonna have Fundora versus Zayes. I got Backroom versus Jesus Ramos. I got Virgil Ortiz. I gotta figure out who Virgil Ortiz would face next, man. Ooh. If he wasn't fighting on April 5th, I would still try to have Virgil Ortiz versus Tim Tszyu. I still would want to see how that fight would look. You know,
I think if you ask me, all roads is going to lead to that. I have a feeling that's going to.
It could.
It's gonna. It doesn't have to be necessarily this year, but it's going to happen. One of them fights that we just named. All these guys that we just named, at some point, we're going to see at least 2 of those fights. Yeah, we're going to see at least 2 this year. I don't know who it's going to happen.
You know what? I think the IBF is going to make that fight between Lubin and Holmes a final eliminator.
Oh, damn. I forgot about those 2.
They might end up making that a final eliminator, because I don't see these other fighters out there, the Josh Kellys or the Callum Walshes. I don't see where they like fit in the picture as far as like the IBF is concerned. So,
Cullen,
Walsh guys left in the rankings.
I can't say where they fit in either. Yeah, that's I didn't even think about that. It's crazy till you just said it. I didn't think about where they fit in either. In that, that's. I thought it was crazy that Fundora mentioned. Shaking my head. I'm sorry, Fundora too.
Yeah, but that's the problem with Backroom. Like he doesn't have, you know, and it's funny because Backroom was talking about who was it, Conwell or somebody that said that, you know, he could be a potential opponent, and Backroom was like, nah, you haven't done enough. Well, if even with you having the titles, either it would be a unification bout for Fundora against Backroom, or a bout against Xander Zayes, which is going to be the bigger fight. The Xander Zayes fight.
Hey, we might have to take it back to what we did years ago. We have to start making a tournament or something at 54 for these guys. Yeah, we need to take it back. Yeah, let's do take it back.
A Super 6 or I can't. They probably can't say Elite 8. I don't know if Elite 8 is.
But you know what though? These guys are not avoiding. They're not avoiding each other. So that's the great thing. Because see, doing the tournament is almost like forcing you. You can't avoid them because now you in this tournament.
Right.
Spence versus Charlo. I thought about that, at one time when they were cool, but now that they're not. I don't think they're on this same page. I wouldn't mind though.
I wouldn't
I
mind it
wouldn't
either.
mind. I wouldn't mind. But my problem is I don't know how. I just don't know about Earl.
Right.
I don't know. I don't know. I'm enjoying the Earl that I see now. He has beautiful, beautiful family, beautiful daughters, and I'm not making no excuse for the brother. But let's just be honest. Since July 29th of 2023, it's been quiet.
Yep.
We don't need these guys taking 2 years off, 3 years coming back. Things are changing now. But to see both of them, if they was to make it happen, I have no right to say who should be fighting and who shouldn't be fighting. I have no right. I have no right. But but I do want to see guys. I mean, I just want to see guys sit back and enjoy their families. But if they was to come back and do that, fine. Fine. But don't come back jumping into the deep end of the pool saying I don't need a tune-up.
Yeah.
Don't come back saying, because when I saw Spence get in and he wanted Fedora, I'm like, in the back of my mind, I'm like, Spence, what are you doing?
Well, yeah.
What are you doing? I understand you don't like tune-ups. Damn it. Sometimes I be thinking, did that car crash really get to him? Because in his mind, he like, I want to, and I appreciate his like, you know, I want the best, but sometimes you need a light touch, because coming back from Fundora is not a light touch, and it's like that's the
Exactly.
last guy I want to be getting in there with. First, I
Exactly.
was watching tune up when I saw that. I'm like, nah, I don't know if that's the guy you want to go for, but hey, let's see what happens, man. You know, hopefully Xander, all these guys will see each other. 154 is going to be interesting this year. Let's fall back and see what happens. Hey, Sauce, what do you got going on tomorrow afternoon? About 4 o'clock, 4:15. What you got going on?
Oh, I'm not sure. You know, I'm like
Okay,
working on a few things, so I'll
okay.
probably.
Well, just let me know. Tune in tomorrow. You don't have to come up if you're busy. We'll be honoring George Foreman tomorrow.
Yeah, I'm gonna do something for him later tonight. You know,
I'm gonna do something for him tomorrow because it's
you got
I'm not really
new.
focusing. I'm not really focusing on what's going on this week. I know this week we do have Tevin Farmer and
You got that
we got
rematch,
that.
and you
We
got
got that
Ryan
rematch,
versus
which I'm
Meyer
gonna cover
rematch.
that. I'm gonna cover that Friday. I'm gonna try to probably cover that Friday as much as I can, because I have an amateur show I got to do this week. So actually I have 2 amateur shows, but I might just do one. So I'm gonna try to cover up as much as I can. I like the Super 6 tournament. Yeah, I loved it too, but I ain't gonna hold you too long. I'm gonna get up off here because I got other moves to make. Hey, Sauce, I appreciate you, my brother. We definitely got to do this again, man.
Yeah, for sure, man.
Definitely, man. I'm gonna catch y'all later, man. Make sure y'all follow my man, the Boxing Source. Y'all go over there, like, share, subscribe, and make sure y'all smash the like button when you go over there, and smash the like button over here. And catch me tomorrow at 4:15 Eastern time, man. We will be honoring late great George Foreman, man. It hurts, but it is what it is, man. So we're gonna go over there, man, and we're gonna just talk about everything that we can remember about the brother, man, and how much he meant to us in the sport of boxing, man. So catch y'all later. Y'all know what it is. It's the No Doug Zone podcast. Let's go. Peace.